Hello, and welcome to Literaria's Feck. And that is your regular hosts, me, Clive Davis, and him,
Nick.
We have a special guest, and oh, there he is. It's Gav. It's Gav Crimson, Gav Whitaker. Hello, Gav. How's it going?
Hello.
And Gav decided to get us to talk about. Well, what are we talking about?
Eat Them Alive, a new peak in horror by Nace.
So, cough up. How much did you pay for that?
Oh no, I can't say it's that allowed. It was a Christmas present anyway. Someone left it for me.
I see. Santa Claus brought it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of them going for,
silly money,
$400 and stuff. Like,
yeah. This one has been on my radar for years. Actually, oddly enough, I'll put the link up as well. Actually, to Gav's written about this on his blog, and it's a fun read. And like you were, yeah, it's just one of those things you hear about it, and then you keep an eye out for it, and it just never comes up. Or if it does, it's just ridiculously expensive. You have a copy from Santa Claus. Me and Nick had to make do with someone's update to archive.org. And can I just double check with you, Nick, here?
Yes.
Was it a frustrating reading experience?
Well, by uploaded, do you mean possibly they just took photographs of the pages with like a camera? So some of the pages are bending off in weird directions or have just lost the last word or two words of every single line.
Yeah, there we go.
Blurry.
And plus, the bottom of the page is often cut off, right? Is that? Yeah, okay, good.
And then some are
because what I did was I downloaded it. Yeah, I
some pages are clear, and then the next page will be like you feel like you've taken an eye test, or you've just gone down several levels of like.
Yeah. So I downloaded it and I put it on my Kobo because I'm not very fond of reading on my PC screen here.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was like that. So that's not just me on my Kobo. That is how it is, right?
No, although I don't know if I noticed that the ends of the pages were gone.
The bottom of the pages.
Maybe, but I didn't feel like I don't feel like I missed any words. So maybe I
definitely missed.
Okay, some lines.
The last line of almost every page.
No, I didn't, because the page numbers were visible in the version I watched, but I read, but I read it on. Like I read it on the internet, but on like a device that was book-like.
That's probably what I should have done. I put it on the Kobo, and then the formatting on something happened along the way, along the transition. But it's fine. To be honest, I can probably guess what is in most of that. It was something to do with breasts being torn open and
I would imagine
itching and
and somebody glorying in his vengeance.
Not someone, Nick. Our hero, Dyke Mellis, which is a great.
It is a great name.
But anyway, seeing as Gav brought this he brought to my attention that someone had updated to archive.org, so I could finally actually read it. Mm-hmm. Why don't you tell us, please, Mr. Crimson, what is Eat Them Alive? What's the story? What's going on here?
I'll read the back synopsis then.
All right.
Dyke Mellis hated the world with a passion. He was just waiting for a chance to strike back at the people who had ripped away his manhood and crippled his body. And then that fateful day when Malpelo Island split open and the creatures emerged, his chance came, a bloodier and more terrible chance than he had ever dreamt of. But as his dreadful plan began to work, and his monstrous legion of bloodthirsty giants wreaked their terror, he was faced with a new horror. Would they destroy him before they reached his enemies?
And brilliantly, that is actually the entire story, pretty much.
Yes. Stretched across 157
pages. Mention that the creatures in question are giant praying mantises.
Mm-hmm.
I was thought they were embarrassed to release a book about giant praying mantises.
I have seen the future of praying mantises. Their name is Nace.
Which we have to talk about that person, I think, a little bit maybe before we talk about, because like, so Gav, is it true that because it seems like for a long time people were trying to figure out who the fuck Pierce was, because this book is so off the charts crazy, and if it's true that Pierce is the person that is claimed that they are, it makes it so much stranger.
Yeah. So all the evidence for the person behind the Pierce name seems to be pointing in the direction of Evelyn Louise Pierce, a housewife and part-time secretary who's based in Pampa, Texas.
Yeah.
So,
Who wrote it
picture
in
of
the mid-60s as well.
yeah. So she born in 1912. So
Yeah.
mid-60s. And it does not read like a book, that was written by a 60-year-old housewife.
No, she looks like my mom's mom. Like she looks like my great my oh, I guess no, I should say she looks like my mom's mom. She looks like my great grandmother. The photograph I've seen, she's got these like amazing kind of horn-rimmed glasses.
Looks like a Mary Whitehouse is what she looks like.
Yes.
Considering the contents of the book is
well, I'm guessing though that Pierce would have been a fan of Oink comics, based on this. Yeah, what the fuck is obviously your response on almost every other page. This seems like it was written by a very disturbed 12-year-old or 11-year-old boy. Like that's how it came up to me.
It's funny. Go on.
Well, whatever you make of her writing, she's obviously good at being a master of disguise. You just never imagine that could be written. I mean, we try, even today, I think we think of women as being, slightly more sensitive when it comes to like violence against animals and children, but this book does not care less of it. So much violence aimed at animals and children.
It's crazy. It's bonkers.
What I really love about it though is that it seems to, talking about the child thing, it's like the whole story seems to take place in some kind of almost abstract, like primary color world. Like there's no there's absolutely zero in terms of like scene setting or detail. Everything's just island, boat, house. It's like, where is this taking place? Like it's like it's like those pictures you drew when you were a kid, what I did on the weekend or whatever. And I went with mummy and daddy and we got eaten by praying mantises, like stick figures, and it's
I could never figure out how big the mantis are supposed to be. If you like see the cover of the American version, they're like 200 times the size of a person. And yet in parts of the book, he's talking about driving a truck in Slayer, the favourite mantis. He's like sitting in the passenger seat next to him.
Yeah, exactly. It seemed like they were at some point they were maybe the size of like large dogs, like they were like big Alsatians or something like that. And at other points, you're like, yeah, are they more Godzilla sized?
It's a bit I thought it was hilarious. There's a bit where the praying man, where Slayer comes in, and a character goes, "Ha! You can't scare me with that soft toy."
It just seems so oblivious to the fact that he's in danger, and that a guy he's left 11 years ago for dead and castrated, but still hold a grudge.
It's brilliant. It reminds me a little bit of what's that the animated TV series based on is it Axe Cop, where someone basically took their cues from a kid, like a really young kid was told to come up with a story,
right? And
they just wrote it's a bit so yeah. So it starts off with our main character like Melis off. It's South America, somewhere in the Caribbean, right? And he's in boat, just off the coast of island, and then an earthquake happens. Some praying mantises just come out and walk around,
erupt out of the earth. Yeah,
and he has because the thing is, most animal attacks, it's just animal in their natural state. What's brilliant about this is the fact that there's an insane character who decides to harness the power of the giant man-eating mantis, and keeps it in a cage makes him trust him by fucking disguising himself with some kind of smell or something so he doesn't go near it. And then even corrals like another 20 of the things and drives them around in a truck to his hated old enemies because they cut his dick off in some kind of bizarre heist years earlier. Like, it's just, don't get me wrong, in some ways it's incredibly repetitive and samey, and you know, it's
by the time you get to the second, so I mean, because there's four targets for his vengeance, right? Even by the time you get to the second one, you're like, oh, I feel like I'm already in Groundhog Day here. We've literally just read this, and then we'll get it two more times.
But from the first kill on, it's incredibly graphic. It's all babies having skulls cracked open and brains slurped out, and kind of slightly dodgy indigenous characters saying, "White man, take us to island. White man bad. White man know about evil monster." Or something.
Yeah, clearly word doesn't spread very well, by the way, amongst these tribes, because like by the end of the book, he's gone back after getting revenge and once again taking boatloads of indigenous folks off to the island to be eaten.
What's fantastic about that bit is, well, again, this whole primary killer, I don't worry about the details thing. Like, the first time I understand a little bit, but then later on when he's talking about him getting boatloads of people, and you're thinking, how? Does he just turn up, like rock up in his boat and say, "Hey, you indigenous people, would you like to visit another island? Come on board." Like, there's, I don't know how he's convinced them to go to, and then it gets really mad at the end when you have like dueling fantasies, right? And there's like a suddenly that's brilliant. It's like a child. It's like end of one chapter is, hang on, what was that? I thought I heard something behind that bush. And then in the next chapter you find out there's like a major character's brother who didn't get eaten, and suddenly he's corralled his own army.
He has his own army of even larger mantises. Yeah.
What the fuck is this? This is insane. How did this get published? Why did the publisher not just chuck it away? But it's glorious, isn't it? It's lightning in a bottle. I don't think you can create a book like this ever again. Like, it's just
no. It's like it's the funny thing is it's truly like, and you know, outsider art you see in various forms, right? But it almost makes more sense in music or in visual art. But I don't know if I've ever read a book like a novel that feels like an outsider art piece that's been published by an actual publishing company, not self-published. Somebody else was like, yes, we should put this in print.
I think you've nailed it. It does feel like, in the same way as Daniel Johnston is to music, right? This feels like it is to literature. And it's not as if it was her first book or anything as well. She does seem to have been writing for
magazines and stuff for years, it sounds like.
1959, I think,
Yeah. I mean, what happened? Was she out pottering around in the garden when they fell over, cracked her head on a rock, wandered into the living room, concussed, and sat at the typewriter? I don't know where this came from. It's just... The
funny thing is, too, it appealed to... There's an element that appeals to me in the story, because there is this part that's kind of like a heist gone wrong piece, right? That almost feels like it comes from like a Richard Stark, like Parker book, right? Right down to the whole idea of like, I want my fifth or my seventh, you know, kind of a thing. Right. And then everything around it is just completely batshit fucking crazy. Yeah. And even how that ends with them, like, I don't even think, even in the darkest of Parker books, did anyone get like cut to ribbons and then castrated, you know?
No. The other thing as well, I was trying, this is not a good idea, but this is folly, but I was trying to maybe follow the logic of the book, right? Like,
oh fuck, I was worried you were going to say I was trying to train some praying mantises.
Praying mantises, yes. Because many years ago, as you know, Nick, you removed my penis when I was living in Japan, and I've never forgot it. And I'm coming to...
I figured you'd be over it by now, Clive. I thought you would have just moved on.
I'm coming
past that.
But I've not praying mantises. It's cicadas. I'm bringing giant cicadas to rip you to shreds.
Perfect. I will say, I went online.
Just to finish my thought, I was going to follow the line of logic, and it's just, even from the get-go, I was thinking, like, if you're going to make an animals attack film, and the beginning is an earthquake, crack in the earth, things come out on an island, why praying mantises? Like, what's the connection there? Like, I could think of half a dozen other things you'd think would come out from the bowels of the earth on an island, right? Why praying mantises? This is just, I don't understand how this was conceived.
You're right. I mean, the praying mantis is like one of the alpha predators of the insect kingdom. But you're right. Why they would be living underground in caves or whatever, or have developed their own whatever is going on. Yeah, that makes less sense. It did force me occasionally, because I was like, well, hang on. Do they make hissing noises? Apparently they do. Now, I don't know if she knew that, if she did any research, but there are a few things where I was like, that sounds unlikely. But then every now and again, yeah, apparently some of it's not completely made up. Most of it is, though. So how long ago did you get your copy, Gav?
Yeah, well, like last year, yes.
Okay, and then did you read it over a few days, or did you just sit down and devour?
I think you've got. I don't think you could take it in one go. You could. Needs to be savored in small parts.
I think so too. I did it in the bath in over a few nights. I thought this is something you could just go through in one day, but I think it would be too much. I felt like I need to portion it out.
I confess up to that. I read it all in one sitting on my balcony and lost my fucking mind. I was drinking as well, which didn't help. You don't need to drink to read this book.
No, it is almost the experience of being like hallucinating a book more than reading a book in some way.
It's funny. I don't know if I would ever read it again, just because it's so vivid. Like, I don't.
Yeah, you're not going to forget it.
No, and there's not much in the way of subplots that you might forget, or characters, or.
No, there's not. There's only about 6 characters in it. But there's I had a moment yesterday, actually. I wasn't quite finished yet. I had about 20 pages left to go, and I had to go to an all-day meeting of teachers. It's the Union Day, because it's basically close to May Day. So basically, all the teachers on the island come to a school gymnasium and sit down, and we listen to
talk about Eat Them Alive.
Well, that's what. Yeah, it was quite a coincidence, actually, Clive. I was very excited. No, but there's a moment where I was thinking, well, I'm going to easily have 20 minutes of downtime there. There's breaks between the presentations and stuff. And then I realized, no fucking way. If somebody's sitting behind me and looks over my shoulder and catches even a line from this, it's just not going to work. There's just there's no part of that book that isn't outrageously offensive in some way or another.
It's slurping. Liver draining.
Yeah, it's weird.
The other thing as well we should mention is when at a certain point, I guess for narrative ease, Dyke Mellis kind of, it's not a psychic connection or anything, but it's like he kind of, it's amazing how it's amazing how fast the praying mantis, which I don't think is one of God's smartest creatures, kind of learns who his master is and where his food is coming from and stuff like that. But that he starts imagining what he anthropomorphizes the mantis, right? And he looked at him as if to say, what? I can eat the whole thing if I just back off for a few seconds. And yes, he did. Slayer. And I really hope the band got their name from that.
I can only assume that Kerry King did. There was actually a part of the story where the word Slayer and then Spill the Blood, which is one of their songs, appeared within a line of each other, and I was like, this is weird. There's you leave that book with so many questions. I really did like all of the. First of all, this is a character with no internal monologue either, right? Everything that Dyke feels, he says out loud in quotation marks.
Yes.
Which is awesome. So there's a lot of him talking to himself. But then
I love it whenever he's because he's on a revenge mission more or less. But then every now and again he just talks about basically how it's turning him on that these mantises are eating people, and he goes on at length. My God, I feel good watching the
yes.
If he could have a raging hard on, which he can't because his dick's been removed, he would have one.
Yes. Oh yeah, she's really clear about this becoming a substitute for sex for him. And then a lot of that dialogue reads like the biker gang in Mad Foxes. There's a lot of like, ha, I am the king of the universe.
Yes.
You know, everyone will admire me.
Fuck, that's a day. We're in the middle of our national holiday Golden Week here in Japan, and that would be a day. Wake up early, start drinking, go out on your balcony, read Eat Them Alive, and then in the evening enjoy Mad Foxes. I might do that tomorrow. That sounds like a day and a half.
Yeah, no, it's I truly enjoyed every time he stopped to pause to glory in the chaos. And then he gets a bit, maybe like he keeps toying with the idea of cannibalism as well. He's like, maybe this is the time that I should eat a part of one of my enemies.
He has this kind of he has this what's the word that starts with a V, like when you're watching pornography, it's a vicarious thrill from watching mantises. But poor old Bert I. Gordon would be rolling in his grave, I think. So, I mean, summing up here a little bit, because obviously we've just kind of, because it's the only way really to gush, right? It's not a book you can approach in any kind of sane way. And obviously there's something wrong with all of us, right?
Yes.
Gav pointed out in his blog entry, which I put the link up to, he was saying it's a bit of a Marmite, like you either love or hate it. So I was wondering, because obviously, like I said, we're all wrong-uns, so we love it. But let us consider, what would be the response of someone sane to a book like this? I suppose they would just burn it or something, right? I don't know.
And then realize how much it's worth these days.
Yeah, fuck, I could have sold this to that Crimson guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to imagine what somebody who's not prepped or primed for this would make of it.
You should make your wife read it, Nick.
I wonder if she'd get past. She might get past chapter 1. I doubt she'd get past chapter 2.
Have you ever tried to loan this to a loved one, Gav?
No. They wouldn't understand. Normal people shouldn't be exposed to this.
Yes. Yeah, don't try this at home, right?
That's a great question, because at one point this was clearly like a mass market paperback, right? This was something that was on the little tiny, thing in the gas station in Texas or whatever, and you'd be like, "Ooh, like this looks like a fun."
I'm not sure which you've got the paperback there. Which who put it out in the UK?
New English Library.
Fuck, Nell. So yeah, no, that would have had proper. I must confess, I mean, even though it came out in 1977, those things were still knocking about in the 1980s. I don't think I ever remember seeing this when I was a kid, like in W.H. Smith's or local newsagent or anything like that. Because if I had, I probably would have bought it. But no, that's an interesting point, Nick. But yeah, I mean, how many
unsuspecting, readers.
I mean, it's one thing to get like, speaking of Nell, it's one thing to get like The Rats by James Herbert or something like that, right? That's like, oh yeah, okay, this can be read by regular citizens as well, right? It's not gonna, it follows a certain. But this thing, fucking hell.
Oh, it's a bit like being cornered by a mad person on the train or whatever, who just sits down and starts belting out a stream of consciousness, fucking, and you're just like, oh shit, what have I gotten into here?
It's also akin to, I would imagine, what it would have been like back in the day to have rocked up to like a drive-in or something, and an Al Adamson film or something would have been playing, or Ray Dennis Stickler or something like that, right? You would have been, what the hell is this? Yeah, I'm off to the concession stand. Speaking of which, this is something Gav muses on in his in his blog post as well, and I think a lot of people have kind of considered, like, yeah, what if they did make the movie version of Eat Them Alive? I mean, Gav's suggests maybe Nicolas Cage for Dyke Mellis.
Oh yeah, that's good fantasy casting for sure.
Bouncing and bellowing,
But I wonder if he might be a little bit, at this stage in his career, he might be a little bit too self-aware of his craziness. I'm wondering if what we really need is a total unknown who's never done a film before and will never do a film again.
And is possibly living on the streets.
Yeah. Like that, another film we watched recently for Septic Shock Road Trip, the guy who plays the killer in The Redeemer, right? Like just someone you've never heard of before and just swings for the fences. But would they, I mean, to do justice, the gore would just be off the, because there's something, it's not just, that's the thing about the gore in this book as well, I think, is it's not fun, like primary, everything else is primary color, but it's not like fun, like it's not like brain dead gore or something. Like there's something quite nasty and sleazy and sexualized about it all.
There's a great part near the end actually where, I mean, and we've been subjected to this like scene after scene after scene, and so has our protagonist Dyke, right? But there's one of the very final, might be the final attack on a house. Dyke comes back into a room where the mantises have gone totally apeshit, and it's a small room, so you get this idea that it's going to be entirely painted with blood, and there's like body parts strewn everywhere, and even he is momentarily like, oh fuck, oh my god. And then you're like, it almost makes it new again in that moment for you as the reader. You're like, oh, even Dyke is a bit thrown by how bad that scene got. And I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe in conjunction with the other thing we do, this might have been a Joe D'Amato joint back in the day, but I'm not sure if he would have enough resources. Because the other thing it reminded me a little bit, just in terms of just needlessly, just offensively gory. Do you remember the old
shit? Carlo Rambaldi would have been perfect to do.
Yes.
Like who in Italy might have been able to actually pull off.
This is true.
And Rambaldi might have been able to make a decent mantis.
What's the? I think it was the second. Was it Splatterhouse 2? If you remember that video game, where there was a character who went around with like a Jason Voorhees mask, and at some stages, you're both looking at me as if you've never heard of this video game.
I haven't heard of this, but I'm also going to say in Canada that's just known as a hockey mask. Clive.
Oh yeah, that's true. But one thing that you don't get in hockey is he gets a chainsaw every now and again, like a mini chainsaw. And in some levels of the video game, these like screaming fetuses on umbilical cords fall down from the ceiling, and he has to slice them up with his chainsaw.
No, I don't remember this game at all, Clive.
It was an UK game, yeah, Splatterhouse. I think it was on the Mega Drive, maybe.
Okay.
Although somehow it wasn't as controversial as Night Trap, which is much less. Do you not remember Night Trap?
No, this is a bit of a blank spot in my. I kind of, I don't know.
Okay, Night Trap.
I remember the Friday 13th game, that really a primitive early one.
Yes. No, Night Trap. I think we'll save. That's actually maybe a film crack because it was
okay.
Kind of, but yeah, we'll get to that. That's
okay.
what I think too. Anyway, so
I was the other thing that I think is really funny is that there are four like what's it, not villains, because isn't like who is who like our point of view character is also our villain, which is always an interesting thing, right? Basically, like Dyke is, but then there's no other than our poor innocent but not very bright tribes people who continually go to this island and get eaten.
White man in whitelist. White man would not lie. White man take us on white man's boat.
Yeah, basically. There aren't really any redeemable characters, but I do love the fact that these four guys who've tortured and butchered Dyke, they're so interchangeable because they're so underwritten that the only thing we have is like, well, there's Navajo guy, there's black guy, and there's two white guys who I honestly don't remember which was which or what they're like, you know, if they had any features that were distinguishable, you know.
Yeah, no, that's true. I just knew there was 4, so I counted them down. 1, 2.
Right.
Although the black one's kind of interesting because he seems to be, as they used to call, high yellow, right? And he can pass for white.
Right.
But he's...
But there's nothing done with that information at all.
Everything white, right? He's great. A fantastic character.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess he's got slightly more nuance.
A little bit,
than...
yeah. A little, just a sliver. And it's great. It plays out exactly the same each time. What do you mean, praying mantises, you fool? Ha 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 ha. Oh, what is that? I shall make you see your family die. No, kill me first. No, and consider.
Yes, the fact that on almost every house he sits down to eat breakfast or dinner while watching this unfold is so enjoyable.
Even though I did say it is samey at a certain point, the fact is though that sameness is so fucking nuts that even though it comes around again, you're like, yeah, this is still kind of compellingly fucking weird and strange. And anyway, does anyone have anything else to say, or should we just call it a
forced me to wonder if my granny had secret depths I was not aware of. That's the one thing. It makes me wonder about women in their 60s and 70s, postmenopausal women. Is there something else going on there that we need to know about?
Are they all secretly imagining other people being torn to pieces by mantises?
Yes, and having their boobs
More
removed.
research needs to be done into this.
We salute you, Evelyn Lewis Pierce. Fucking nut job. The world is better for your contribution. Now let's get someone to put out an affordable Kindle version, please, because more people should read it and be horrified.
Needs to contaminate other people, other minds.
Yes. Let the praying mantis revolution continue. All right, cheers, Gav. Nice choice for the LAF library, I think. Every now and again we get to be in a bit too highfalutin, and this brought us right back down.
Bring it down to a low level.
Yes. We discovered a sub gutter, gutter below the normal gutter. That's quite exciting to explore.
I have seen the future of the sub gutter of horror, and its name is P.S. Nace.
I keep hoping someone might upload Dracutwig. Have you ever heard of that one?
What was it?
Dracutwig.
No.
It's like, well, the premise is that Dracula's daughter comes to swing in London and embarks on a career as a twiggy sort of model, hence why she's called Dracutwig.
Okay, wow.
But it sounds crazy, but
that sounds very Dracula AD 1972.
Yeah, but it's just for crazy money, so I don't think there's any chance you get.
I'm writing it down though, because you never know. I mean, stranger things have turned up in the used book town in Tokyo, Jim Butcher.
It seems to be written originally as a movie script, and it's actually on eBay at the moment. The movie script is for sale, and that predates the book, so I think maybe the film didn't get made, so the author did it the book instead.
Interesting,
yeah. I wonder if they
Dracula's half-mortal proto-goth daughter dazzles swinging London in this vampire exploitation pulp.
I wonder if they would have
going for $100 right now, so that's expensive.
I wonder if they would have tried to get Twiggy in it. her big follow-up to her cameo in the Blues Brothers.
It's apparently written by a woman, Mallory Tina. Yeah, good front cover.
Until next time, then. We should point this out as well. Not the 2 times. Is it 2 times now that Gav has been on? It's been this and bamboo gorillas. So
yes,
God knows what picture Gav got from. Yeah.
What comes? How can we possibly follow this?
Chopper as well.
Chopper. Oh yeah, there we go. That was borderline.
Almost normal.
Yeah, that was fine. Yeah, don't worry. Yeah.
I would like to just read for a moment, just directly from the book, because it does need to be read from. I think
This will lead us out then. Here we go.
Yes, yeah. But now I've got something to live for, because I love watching a man being eaten by a monster. Maybe it's a substitute for my lost virility, but I know it's a joy I never thought I'd feel again.
From the Diaries of Nick. Until next time.